In the spirit of anticipation, we start this journey together from 10, ticking down to 1. Picture this countdown as your personal voyage of self-discovery before stepping into the dating scene. From 10, we unpack the emotional baggage, down to 9 where we address those lurking traumas. 8 sees us shedding bad habits, while at 7 we embark on self-evaluation. 6 we confront past relationships, and 5 brings us family matters. 4 we take on personal responsibilities, and at 3 we embrace authenticity and honesty. 2 it's all about setting expectations. Buckle up because we're about to dive into some serious self-reflection. First stop on our journey, emotional baggage central. Imagine for a moment you're at an airport, and just like at any airport, there's a conveyor belt churning out suitcases. Each one of these suitcases represents a past relationship, a past hurt, a past regret. They're heavy, they're bulky, and they're taking up a lot of space. Now imagine trying to board a flight to a new, exciting destination, a new relationship, while still lugging around all that baggage. It's not a pretty picture, is it? This is why addressing emotional baggage is crucial. We all have past experiences that have shaped us, for better or worse. These experiences, if left unresolved, can affect our future relationships in ways we may not even realize. Take, for instance, the story of Jane. Jane was in a relationship where her partner constantly belittled her ideas. Even after the relationship ended, she carried this emotional baggage into her new relationships, often refraining from sharing her thoughts out of fear of being ridiculed. It wasn't until she acknowledged and addressed this emotional baggage that she was able to move forward. Or consider John, who had a habit of jumping into new relationships without fully processing the end of the old ones. This led to a cycle of short, unsatisfying relationships, as he was never truly present in the new ones, still emotionally tied to the past. It was only when he took the time to unpack his emotional baggage, to understand and heal from his past relationships, that he was able to break this cycle. Addressing emotional baggage isn't always easy. It can be painful to revisit old wounds, to admit our mistakes, to confront our fears. But it's a necessary step in our journey towards healthier relationships. So take a moment to reflect on your past relationships. What emotional baggage are you carrying? How might it be affecting your current relationships or your approach to new ones? Remember, unpacking that suitcase of emotions is the first step towards a healthier you and a healthier relationship. Next, we venture into the often overlooked but critical aspect of unaddressed traumas. Just as a physical wound needs attention to heal, so does an emotional one. Unaddressed traumas, whether they stem from childhood or more recent events, can cast long shadows over our lives. They can influence how we perceive ourselves, how we interact with others, and ultimately, how we engage in relationships. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go. It's cumbersome, it's tiring, and it limits your freedom of movement. That's what unaddressed trauma is like. It's a weight we carry, often without realizing how it's holding us back. So, how do we lighten this load? The first step is acknowledgement. Recognize that the trauma exists and that it's okay to seek help. There's a common misconception that seeking support is a sign of weakness. However, it's quite the opposite. It takes courage to face our demons and strength to ask for help when we need it. Professional help, in the form of a therapist or counselor, can provide a safe space to unpack these traumas. They can guide us through the process of understanding, processing, and ultimately healing these wounds. Therapy isn't about erasing the past, but rather about learning to carry it in a way that doesn't weigh us down. Support groups are another avenue for addressing trauma. Sharing experiences with others who have walked a similar path can be incredibly validating. It can help us feel less alone in our struggles and provide insight into different coping strategies. Sometimes the trauma might be too raw or painful to face alone. In such cases, it's perfectly okay to lean on a support network. Reach out to trusted friends or family members. Remember, we're social creatures. We're wired for connection and support. Addressing trauma is a journey, not a destination. It takes time, patience, and compassion, but it's a journey worth undertaking. As we heal, we can begin to shed the weight of our past, freeing ourselves to move forward with less baggage and more resilience. Scars might be reminders of the past, but healing from them is a gateway to a brighter future. Now, let's tackle those pesky bad habits. We all have them, those little things we do without thinking. But sometimes, these habits can become a roadblock in our journey to healthy relationships. It's like having a stone in your shoe on a long walk. It starts as a minor discomfort but can become a significant distraction over time. Let's take a look at a few common examples. Imagine someone who's always late. Now, being late once or twice might not seem like a big deal, but when it becomes a pattern, it communicates a lack of respect for the other person's time. It's like saying, "My time is more valuable than yours." And that's certainly not the message we want to send in a relationship, is it? Then there's the habit of not communicating openly. This is a sneaky one because often we don't even realize we're doing it. Maybe we're afraid of conflict, or maybe we've just never learned how to express our feelings effectively. But when we bottle up our emotions, it's like shaking a soda can. Sooner or later, it's going to explode, and the mess can be hard to clean up. And what about the habit of not setting boundaries? This one can be particularly harmful in a relationship. When we don't communicate our needs and limits, we allow others to overstep, and that can lead to resentment and frustration. It's like letting someone else pilot your ship. You're bound to end up somewhere you didn't want to go. So how do we shed these bad habits? The first step is recognizing them. Take a good hard look at your behavior and ask yourself if it's serving you and your relationships well. The second step is replacing the bad habits with good ones. It's not enough to just stop doing something. We need to fill that space with a positive behavior. And finally, be patient with yourself. Changing habits takes time. It's a journey, not a sprint. Remember, nobody's perfect. We all have habits we need to work on. But by acknowledging them and making the effort to change, we're taking a crucial step towards healthier, happier relationships. Breaking free from the chains of bad habits paves the path for a healthier relationship. Now, we turn the spotlight inward for some self-evaluation. Just like the way a mirror reflects our physical appearance, self-evaluation serves as a mental mirror, reflecting our inner self, our needs, our boundaries, and areas for personal improvement. It's about taking a step back, looking at ourselves and asking, who am I as an individual? What do I need to feel fulfilled and happy? Consider Jane, a vivacious woman with a love for travel and adventure. After a string of relationships that felt stifling and restrictive, Jane took some time for self-evaluation. She realized that she had been trying to fit into her partner's worlds, suppressing her own desires for freedom and exploration. By understanding her own needs, she was able to seek out relationships that embraced and encouraged her adventurous spirit. Or take the case of Sam, a quiet and introspective man. Sam often felt overlooked in his past relationships, as his partners were more outgoing and social. After some self-reflection, Sam recognized that he needed someone who valued and respected his need for quiet moments and deep conversations. These examples illustrate how self-evaluation can help us understand our needs and boundaries. It can also reveal areas for personal improvement. Maybe you've noticed that you have a tendency to avoid conflict, or perhaps you struggle with expressing your feelings. Recognizing these patterns can provide a roadmap for personal growth and development. Remember, it's okay to be a work in progress. It's okay to have areas for improvement. What's important is that we're aware of them and we're working on them. It's about being the best version of ourselves, not just for a potential partner, but for ourselves. Self-evaluation is not a one-time thing either. It's an ongoing process, a continuous journey of self-discovery and growth. So keep that mental mirror polished and clear. Keep reflecting, keep evaluating, and above all, keep growing. Knowing yourself is the first step to knowing what you want in a relationship. So take that step today, because the journey to a fulfilling relationship begins with you. Moving on, let's delve into past relationships and family matters. These are two aspects of our lives that can significantly influence our future relationships, often in ways we might not fully comprehend. Firstly, let's talk about past relationships. It's essential to ensure closure with previous partners. You might wonder, why bother? I've moved on. However, lingering connections or unresolved feelings can act like anchors, hindering our ability to fully invest in new relationships. For instance, let's consider the story of Jane. She jumped into a new relationship shortly after a breakup, carrying with her unresolved feelings for her ex. Despite her best efforts, these unresolved emotions created a barrier in her new relationship, leading to misunderstandings and, eventually, an unfortunate breakup. Jane's story serves as a reminder that closure is not just about moving on, it's about making peace with the past. Now, let's shift focus to family matters. Families are like the roots that ground us. However, unresolved conflicts or issues within our families can cast a shadow over our relationships. Take the case of John. He had an ongoing feud with his brother that had been simmering for years. When he started dating, his partner found it difficult to navigate this family tension, causing strain in their relationship. Jons Story illustrates how unresolved family matters can inadvertently impact our relationships. So, what's the takeaway? It's simple. Address your past, make peace with it. If you have unfinished business with an ex, find a way to resolve it. If you have family issues, work on them. Seek professional help if you need to. It's not about forgetting the past. It's about learning from it and letting it go. Remember, a clear past and a harmonious family life can contribute to a healthier relationship. So let's embrace our past, resolve our family matters, and pave the way for healthier, happier relationships. Next, we step into personal responsibilities and expectations. Imagine you've left a pile of unwashed dishes in your kitchen sink and you're expecting a guest. You wouldn't want them to see that, right? Well, it's the same with personal responsibilities. Any lingering or abandoned responsibilities can cast a shadow over new relationships. It's crucial to tie up those loose ends, particularly if they involve children from past relationships. Remember, responsibility is attractive. It speaks volumes about your character and your capability to handle life's ups and downs. Let's take the case of Lisa, a single mother of two. She didn't start dating until she was confident that her children were well cared for and that her potential partners understood her responsibilities. Her actions not only reflected her commitment to her children, but also set clear expectations for potential partners. Speaking of expectations, it's like going shopping. If you walk into a store expecting to buy a diamond ring with just $1 in your pocket, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. It's the same with relationships. Your expectations need to be realistic. They shouldn't be based on unfulfilled personal goals or desires. Consider Paul, who always expected his partners to fill the void left by his career dissatisfaction. He soon realized that his expectations were unfair and began to focus on finding fulfillment in his work, allowing his relationships to blossom naturally. So, jot down what you expect from a potential partner. Are these expectations fair and reasonable? Or are they a reflection of your personal unfulfilled needs? Remember, nobody is perfect. We're all beautifully flawed. Being accountable for your actions and having realistic expectations not only sets you up for success, but also paves the way for a healthier, happier relationship. It's like building a house. You wouldn't start with the roof, would you? The foundation needs to be strong, and that foundation is built on responsibility and realistic expectations. Being accountable and having realistic expectations sets the right foundation for a balanced relationship. Lastly, but certainly not least, we explore authenticity, honesty, and handling frustrations. These are the pillars that hold the structure of a healthy relationship, and they're as important as the foundation itself. Now let's talk about authenticity. It's about being real, being you, without the need to put on a mask or pretend to be someone you're not. It's about embracing your own peculiarities and quirks, and not being afraid to show them. Imagine you're a fan of polka music in a world where everyone seems to be into pop. It might sound odd to some, but being genuine about your preferences makes you unique, and that's what authenticity is all about. Next, we move on to honesty. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth, it's also about being open. Ever had a friend who always seemed to know when you were feeling down, even when you hadn't said a word? That's because openness is a form of honesty. It's about allowing others to see your vulnerabilities, your fears, and your dreams. It's like being an open book where every page tells a different story about you. Now let's consider handling frustrations. We all face frustrations, don't we? The key is how we deal with them. Let's take an example. Imagine you've had a rough day at work, and you come home to find the dishes unwashed. You could lash out, or you could take a deep breath, explain your frustration, and ask for help. The latter is a healthier coping mechanism, isn't it? So, to summarize, authenticity is about being real, honesty is about being open, and handling frustrations is about communicating effectively. Just like a three-legged stool needs all its legs to stand, a relationship needs authenticity, honesty, and healthy ways of handling frustrations to thrive. As we wrap up this segment, let's remember that being true to ourselves, honest with others, and handling frustrations in a healthy manner can pave the way for smoother sailing on our relationship journey. Being true to yourself, honest with others, and handling frustrations healthily can make your relationship journey smoother. And there we have it, folks. We've journeyed together through emotional baggage, unaddressed traumas, shedding bad habits, self-evaluation, past relationships, family matters, personal responsibilities, authenticity, honesty, handling frustrations, and setting expectations. It's clear that a strong foundation in self-awareness and self-improvement is essential before we can build a sturdy bridge to another heart. Remember, the journey to a healthy relationship starts with a healthy individual. So take the time to reflect, heal, and grow.